Hi, we're going to be talking to Giles Drake today. Really excited about this interview. Giles is a teammate of mine. I've known him for many years. Took him a long time to get into the Three Peaks, and we'll dig a little bit about that. Um, he did his first one in 2017, and without the COVID years, he was seventh, third, seventh, fourth, and then the last 2 years he's won the race. So I'm going to look forward to talking to him about that. I'm going to talk to him about his prep, his training, a little bit about the bikes, more about just how he feels about the race. It's an important race to so many people, and I want to know how it's got under his skin. So thanks for tuning in, and let's go to Giles. So it's 2025. You had some great success in 2023 and 2024. Um, Obviously, as defending champion, that's puts you in a really good place and probably quite puts you under quite a lot of pressure. Tell us about how you're feeling now. So we're kind of 5 weeks out from the race. What's it looking like?
Um, ironically, I would say that I'm as calm as I probably ever have been going into a race. I think, well, going into this race, I think Theon will attest to that. That I've been a little bit of in the past, I've been a little bit of a difficult individual to live with when you kind of get to this stage. But as you say, I know people will look at it as pressure as defending champion and all that. But personally, I kind of look at it as I always said, if I get one, then I'm happy, and anything above that is a bonus. So yeah, I'm just kind of like I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with my form. I'm happy with the training I've done. I've been very consistent. I've been very specific with what I wanted to do without getting kind of crazy about it. So yeah, I'm feeling good, and I'm kind of I guess yeah, I'm excited for it.
Good. Yeah, it feels like there's no pressure. I remember the first time you won, obviously, was special, but I was actually marshalling that year and helping out on Ingleborough. So I got to hi Fion. So I got to so I got to see you come over the line and kind of experience that thrill and that joy, and it was a lovely feeling. But I do remember saying to you, and I think this relates to the pressure thing. You've won that now. No one will ever take that
Yeah,
away. It's not a KOM that someone's going to better. That's a win, and it goes down in history. And yeah, great feeling, I'm sure. Um, so it took you a while to get there. I've ridden cross over the years with you in the Northwest League for a very long time. I think I remember racing you as an under 23, probably when I was still. Our age gap is quite big, but I was probably still in the league at the top end of the under 40s. But yeah, so I know a little bit about you, your mountain bike background, and how cross definitely took a second place for quite a long time in your career. But what got you to your first one? What made you fill in that entry form?
made me feel it. Do you know what? Like as you say, like I used to mountain bike, and then cross country mountain biking used to be my thing, and for the longest time, cross country mountain biking sort of ran from early March, if not February, through all the way through to September. Because I remember a mate of mine used to do it, used to do Three Peaks, and quite often we were at Plymouth on a Saturday for the last mountain bike national, and we'd drive to the peaks for the Sunday, and I'd just be, you know, pitting for him. Um, so there was always that kind of caused a bit of conflict, and I was obviously I was always aware of it, and I always said I will do it one day. No, with no real like desire or even aware of the heritage that kind of goes around with it. I always said I'd do it one day, and it took a little bit of time because I guess I just had to wear myself out on mountain biking. Mountain biking was getting a lot more technical, and the guys who do well at mountain biking now, they live on the mountain bikes, and I don't live in an area where I'm on the mountain bike all the time. So I kind of like was just looking for something different. So I thought Three Peaks, and I was going well. I was fast. I was one of the best elite mountain bikers in the country. So I thought I can have a go at that. That'll that'll suit me. But it's interesting because it was all just sort of off the cuff, and I wasn't really sort of like it is what it is. It's not a thing that I really care about. But it somebody said to me, and they can remain nameless. They said when I said I'd entered the Three Peaks, they said, "You're not going to win it," and I was like,
Was it me?
"No, no, no." It wasn't, but it stuck with me, and I was like, "What? What? I'll show you. I'll do this." And I was from that was the kind of catalyst that started the finger quotes obsession. And that first year was a bit of a disaster really, because I was the strongest bike rider, country mile, country mile. But it was just such naivety on my part of what I let myself in for. From the shoes I wore, to the tires I rode, to all of that sort of stuff was just complete naivety. I didn't give it any respect whatsoever. And it was just, I'll turn up and I'll win it, basically. And I did okay. I think I came sixth in the end with two or three punches, I think. It's three punches because I rode in flat off Penny Gen.
Uh-huh.
But that was the catalyst. That was the first, and as throughout that year, it didn't go to plan that year, and it was like it wasn't what I'd anticipated, because I thought, yeah, this is good. And at one point, I was in second place to Paul. I thought, this is easy. This is good, but it just fell apart so quickly from such a strong position over halfway through the race to just out the back and just completely out of your hands. And that race, those 3 hours or whatever, it just grew and grew. It's like, this is insane. This is bonkers. And as soon as I finished, I was just like, next year.
Yeah.
And I think it's the worst kept secret in at least the people that know me. It was like there was an obsession to it, in every year it was like, no, this is the year, I've got to change this, I've got to do this, I've got to do something a little bit different. And it just grew and grew. And I think COVID didn't help, because we lost 2 years to it. So it bubbled up even more. And I think that year before I won it was like, is it ever going to happen? Because it's just punches, and it's like things that weren't in necessarily my control, kind of just maybe it never will happen. But that was the thing that kind of started it all, and it just snowballed from there.
And you realize that obsession. I mean, you do realize that takes hold of the person who finishes 132nd and the person who finishes 256th. It's and pretty much people joke after they come over the line, oh, that was hell, I'm never doing it again. But so many people come back. And there is something really special about the race that gets hold of everyone, not just people who want to win, people who want to beat their time, beat their friend. And I'm not surprised really. As you've just kind of hinted at, there are thousands of places you can improve. There are thousands of places you can make little mistakes, and it's a dream to try and get everything to slot into place, really, isn't it? I think that's the way.
Yeah, and I think the reality of it is I've done it 6 times now. I think this will be my 7th, and only 1 year I can really say nothing went wrong. And to be fair, even that year I had a little punch that's sealed.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like if you have a clean race, I think it's basically unheard of.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you're either going to you're going way too easy, or you're very very fortunate to have a clean race in that
Yeah,
way.
and I think embracing that and accepting that is part of the not maturity, but just part of understanding the race. That,
Mm.
that it's dealing with the things that go wrong. Um,
Yeah,
Speaking of which, and you probably knew I was going to talk about the 2019, was it your third go?
yeah.
Um, the setbacks happen, don't they? I think you were in.
Mm.
The word was, and I think people started to understand that you were sort of getting on for favourite status, even though you'd never won it that year.
Mhm.
Um, and you kind of proved it for people who don't know the story. Just very very briefly, Giles went uh, really good climb of Ingleborough and probably surprised yourself a little bit. I think maybe that
Mhm.
with how
Yeah.
well you went to Ingleborough, and then the mists were down and just got it wrong a little bit off Ingleborough and lost a chunk of time. So just tell us through, just talk us through it, but more, did it destroy you on the day, or did you just deal with it? What happened?
Uh, well, obviously, yeah, as you say, I've never been anywhere close to Rob on Ingleborough, and that was the year where I was in touching distance. I didn't beat him to the top, but I was close. And the marshal kind of said, "Oh, he's 20 seconds ahead of you," and I don't know. It's like in the moment, I just kind of I don't know. I got a little bit confused, and like Ingleborough, you kind of 180, and you head back almost to where you came from. And Pennygen, you sort of do a 90. And in that moment, I just go, oh, no, it's that way. It's that way. That if you go the way the tape's going, that's not the right way. You go that way and you go off the side. Um, and because you know, uh, I was aware of it. I'd done it following other people, but I'd never done it on my own. And obviously, I just got it a little bit wrong, and I
Mm,
didn't because there is a shortcut off the top of
yeah,
Ingleborough,
yeah.
which
There's a more efficient route, but when I marshalled up there, I saw how many people were trying to hit it and getting it wrong.
yeah, yeah, and they've stopped that now, so you can't do it, or at least they did last year, which I think is probably a good thing. From a point of view of, I think the race is maturing, and I think a lot of people are trying to find that, and it becomes a little bit dangerous because when I went off the side, I was like, I'm not sure this is right. And it took a minute, but again, it's racist jet adrenaline, and you just kind of go and you keep going, and then it's like this is definitely not right. And then I realized very quickly I was completely lost,
Mm,
and I was just in fern and everything, and it was, as you say, the mist was down, couldn't see anything, and it was only really kind of a vague sense of direction and noise that kind of got me back on track. And I was dejected at that stage, and I was like, I don't even want to finish. I
mm,
don't want to carry on. But then the other part of me was like, well, no, this can't be the end of the Three Peaks for me, and I'll need an entry next year, so I've got to finish high. I've got to crack on. And so at that point, I must have been, I don't know, 40th, 50th or something, because I lost 12, 13 minutes, I think, from
yeah,
from memory. Uh, so I got to the bottom. There's a bunch of surprise, as you can imagine, on people's faces of like what happened, all that sort of stuff. Um, but I just kind of went to work at that point, and it's like, right, okay, well, just do what you can do. Like you're not going to get
smooth.
back to
Yeah,
you're not going to get back to the front, but you can do something.
mm,
And from that point, it was just kind of okay, right, work, and I did, and I grafted back up to maybe fifth, I think, in the end, and then I think I did blow up a little bit on Benny again, and I think I finished seventh in the end. from
I
memory.
think you were sixth, but yeah,
Was it sixth?
yeah, that was the year that Lackland rode as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he sat on me the entire way along
yeah, it's because
from
you're a legend. He's heard of you. That's
yeah, he did. Yeah, he was like that guy. That's the wheel. But he went hard on Penny again. It was like I had nothing, which
yeah,
was probably the reason I exploded so spectacularly. But yeah, it was obviously at the end. I was kind of like, and there was little whispers around the village, and like Paul Oldham was saying, "Yeah, but did you see his times?" What I mean? Referring to how quickly I did the rest of it, and it
yeah,
was
yeah,
it was obviously I was sat there on the floor just utterly dejected by it because I knew that was me winning it by 2 or 3 minutes. If I'd
yeah.
just been sensible, if I'd just been cautious, I could have easily that could have been the first year. But it's the race, and
It
you
is the
can't.
race. Yeah, it is the race, and I've had similar conversations with people like Jebby over the years who's probably still clung on and won in the end. But he's had disasters and
Mhm.
bad things that have happened, and yeah, that's a big one to deal with. But yeah, you've got to do
Well,
it, really.
it made me feel a lot better when Nick Craig did something similar the year after. It's like if he can get it wrong, I'm
He's
okay.
old.
Yes. He was
Yeah,
looking at. I think he was following Will Weatherall, and he was like, "Oh, he must know something I don't."
yeah. So on to to happier thoughts really, and without going through every kind of result, you obviously did the graft, you worked your apprenticeship, and it all came good in 2023. Um, Obviously a good ride. What sticks out in your memory? What gives you the most goosebumps? What still makes you really proud or whatever about that ride?
um, I think. I mean, I know what gives me goosebumps because I remember that road section after after Whernside to Pennygen, and I remember being borderline in tears because it was so like right. This descent. This is the one descent you don't have issues with. This is yours now. Like because the year before I'd got to going up um I'd got to going up Whernside before Jebby. I'd got to the top before Jebby and then punctured and it all fell apart. But once I got there, I was like, this is just hold it. This is it. You can do this. Just be sensible. Don't do anything stupid. Um, but I remember the end, and it was just relief in
Mm,
the end. Going up that final brow, heading to the finish, looking behind, and no one's there
mm,
was just that was kind of the moment. Like it was like finally just this giant sigh of relief, and it was lovely because I remember everybody being there, everybody from Wheelbase, you were there, my parents,
yeah, yeah.
Theon, all my friends that were supporting me. I remember them all being there, and I think everybody was just kind of happy. Not necessarily. I don't know whether it was for me or it was the situation, and they know what happened and the history and everything else. But everybody just seemed happy with that, and I think the other thing is it was nice to see somebody else win it because
Yeah.
it's Paul Jebby and Nick
Yeah,
for, for 20
they looked after it for a long time, really.
they
Yeah,
did.
there was a bit of that. And for me personally, I was stood next to your dad. He was really emotional, and I think
Mm,
so. He's not going to get like that for every race you win. I think he knew how much it meant to you. But yeah, the kind of the level of control that those three have naturally asserted over the
mm,
elite men's race has been amazing, really. And I think coming on to that last year, you were under a lot of pressure from Jensen, from another new
mm.
face. It was his debut,
Yeah,
was it?
yeah, first year.
Talk me through last year.
Last year. Um, it wasn't from my perspective. It was a poor performance on my part. I had terrible lead in. Theon trapped a finger in a car door the week leading up, so we were in A&E till all hours on one of the days. It seemed to had some kind of food poisoning the night before. Like it was a whole host of poor execution on things. And I wasn't throwing up in a bush or anything like that, but I wasn't right. And I kind of I set about it in a normal way, and Jensen went really hard early on, but I took control going up Ingleborough, and I thought, okay, that's okay. And then we got to Coalcoats, and there was Ollie Dawson there as well. So it was three. So it was kind of like, this is interesting. And we again, like Whernside, I used my running, I used my strength there, and got a bit of a gap, but not the sort of gap I expected. Jensen, like credit where credit's due for first crack at it, for any crack at it. It was phenomenal, and but for a puncher, he probably would have been on the top step instead of me, if we're on the day. But it was an odd year for me, and I think probably only because I'd won it the year before was I actually able to sort of stay calm and stay composed, and just race my race. And at the top of Pen like Jensen got a gap on me. I just didn't have it to go with him, fortunately for me, unfortunately for him, he obviously got a puncher towards it, probably in the grass at the top of Pen coming off it, and yeah, so all I needed to do was keep it together going down. So it wasn't what I would say, the strongest guy won last year. I don't think that was necessarily the case, but the guy with the most experience, and the who's, let's be honest, he's had 4 years of pretty terrible luck in one way or another leading up to winning it. It's one of those kind of rites of passages with the peaks, and you do have bad times, and you do have scenarios where they're not necessarily recoverable from, in the same way that a road race and getting a spare bike, or a cross race and getting a spare bike, or any of those sort of things. And it's more impactful for that. You're out there on your own, and you've got to kind of deal with it mentally and the actual situation, I guess.
But it isn't that's serendipity too, because you had your inexperienced times
Yeah,
and punctured. And I don't know the circumstances of Jensen's puncture, but being his first race, maybe he was pushing it a bit hard on a descent. It was on the descent of Penningen, wasn't it? I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
I don't know the circumstances, but you're effectively getting payback for the bad things that have happened for you too. And I think it's good to reward yourself with that. Yeah, you won it through. You could say you won it through experience, and Jensen's lack of experience, he's built up a bit more, and maybe he'll be back and do. I don't even know if he's doing it this year, but
No, he definitely is, and I think it means a big amount to him, and I think he'll be gunning for it. And I think if it comes down to it, he deserves a bit of luck this year after last year. So it'll be good. And
yeah.
there's a few guys on the start list that I think could be in contention this year. So it's gonna be interesting.
Uh, Excuse me, have you seen a start list?
Well, I'm aware of some people who are doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously Lackland's there. That would be
yeah,
interesting again.
yeah.
Whether he'll probably ride across Britain before he actually starts, I would imagine. Probably bivvy on the top of Pen or something. Camor, as far as I'm aware, is doing it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
obviously top class mountain biker.
Hmm.
And there's the usual guys who can be in. I know Ollie Dawson said he was going to take a bit of a step back this year, but I'm not sure I buy it. I think it means as much to that race means as much to him as it does to me. So
Yeah, and there's several people floated in the top 10 or top five the last few years that could suddenly have
yeah,
a good day and could be. I mean, that ride that Will Weatherall did a few years ago was a stunner. And he
yeah,
did prep for it, but he got a really good day out there, and it just
mhm,
shows you everything can go right, and you can have a cracker sometimes.
100%.
Just talking of, you mentioned the bike earlier, um, and being a cyclo-cross rider, we've got this conflict of the type of race and the length of race and the type of races we do. But there's the bike thing, isn't there? And there's
Mm,
Three Peaks Prep, and everyone, I certainly, according to the kind of feedback I get on my blog that I do, everyone's really obsessed by what everyone else is doing with their bikes, and the fine tuning, just the nuance, really, just the special
yeah,
things you learn along the way. So what's your thing? You're on are you the WTB tyres still this year?
yeah. Cross boss.
Cross box, that's
Unless I
it.
find,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think I'll change. They've generally been pretty decent tire for me. I should probably look at it, but I should probably not risk it at this point because you kind of there's scenarios where I've had Schwalbe's G1s
yeah,
for for things, but they're just if it's wet at all, they're not great for that first descent down to cold coats.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I think to be perfectly honest, like it's becoming easier to prep for
yeah.
because
Gravel.
bikes are so much more well equipped. Your gravel bikes are basically Three Peaks bikes,
Mm,
skinnier tires, albeit, but they are, it's not like the kind of rim brake 33 mil
yeah, yeah,
uh, box section rim tubulars that it's not like that nowadays. There's so many options, and the bikes are they're basically mountain bikes. They can stand up to anything.
yeah, yeah,
So it is easier to prep your bikes, and you don't have to think about it as much. I mean, the only change I've made really in the last couple of years is running inserts,
uh-huh.
uh, which I think is pretty common. And it's not going to save you, but it will let you ride to
Yeah,
some. Um,
yeah.
it will let
And,
you finish if it's on Pedium, and it will let you get a bike if it's on any of the others. So
I also think with inserts and as with tubeless, you don't know how much they save you because the
no,
the proof is never there, is it?
no,
Be
no,
saving
it's
you from punctures and things that a lot more than we think, but it's very difficult to really know that.
mhm.
Um, and gears wise, are you on a double or a
I'm running a single. I still think a double is probably your best bet if you can get it right. But the trouble is you want such an extreme gear for the road sections and you want the smallest thing you can get. You end up trying to probably make it a bit too extreme.
Hmm.
So I think with the sort of SRAM, big cassettes now, you can kind of run a single with it, whether it's a mountain bike 50 52 or I think I'm going to be on a 46, but with a 38 at the front.
Yeah.
So I'm less concerned about the road section. As once upon a time, I'd be like, I need a big gear for the road to kind of, really, really sort of make up time or whatever. But I don't
Yeah.
think that's as big a problem as I perceived it to be.
So a bit of background, pre Giles, you were probably still at school back in these days. When I used to sort of have a bike that was totally a cross bike and completely within the rules, but when I was really trying to, my seriously isn't quite the same as yours. I was basically trying to crack the top 10, which I managed to do once. But I had a bike that was set up for the road sections, and I used to grab it at Cold Coats,
Mm.
get another bike at Gilgar, not Gilgar, at Chapley Dale, and
Yeah,
then grab it again at Ribblehead, and then get another
yeah.
bike. So it was a bit, it's pushing it, but Rob Jebb used to
Well,
do that and everything. But I had a 52 39 or something on that bike. And it made absolutely no difference. I'd have been absolutely fine on my cross bike because
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you can't push those big gears, or couldn't,
well, I mean,
rest
I
on the
guess
road a bit.
I guess you can, and maybe it's a little bit more comfortable. But again, like going to the tubeless thing or the inserts, it's like for every pedal revelation that you're doing down the hill that you're not spinning out. If you were spinning out and just get small and
Yeah,
go aero, so to speak, you're probably recovering a little bit. So
yeah, yeah.
it's
Or
six of one,
have
half
a
a
sip
dozen
of
of
your
the other.
drink and eat something while you're
Yeah,
freewheeling.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a necessity, and a lot of people, unless you are either very unlucky or you are leading it, you're probably going to be around people. You're
Mm.
probably going to be in a group of some description. That's you're probably going to get a little bit of a turn, or if you are spinning out, somebody with bigger gears will pull through. So
Yeah, yeah.
but I try to keep it simple now.
Hmm.
I don't overthink it. And I think the race, to their credit, have made good decisions in the past couple of years to make it a more even playing field. And it's not to say that anybody in the years gone by sort of circumvented rules or anything like that, because they didn't. It was very much like you can get help anywhere above, well, below, basically below certain areas you could get help. And if it was
Mm. Mm.
somebody every 50 meters with wheels, then if you've got the resources to do that, then you could do that. And I think there was, at least, I don't necessarily see it, but I've certainly heard some questionable things that have been done in the past, but it was within the rules in principle. So, it's, I think, keeping it simple with pits, if you want to call it that, has even the playing field, cut the stress for helpers, because I know it's absolute bedlam for
Mm.
some of the helpers with bikes and getting to people to certain places. And I think it's just calmed it down and made it a little bit more, a little less chaos and a little
Yeah.
bit more uh, official, shall we say?
And they are pits actually, because I remember having that direct conversation with John Rawnsley, or certainly in his spirit. I
Mm,
know they've changed it, but everyone involved in the race is really aware of how important John's sort of legacy is and his stamp on the race. And I remember talking to him once about it. He's going, it's a cyclo-cross race, and there's pits, and that's where people
yeah,
get help. And it's perfectly fine to check, because quite a lot of people saying, "Oh, the spirit should be done. You should do it on one bike." There are people going the other way. You should look after
yeah,
yourself. But John was really adamant. No, it's a cyclocross race, and in cyclocross we get help. It's a special one. It's a different one, but there are places you can dip into
mm,
help. And I always try and remember that when people sort of who maybe aren't live at the other end of the country and aren't lucky enough to have people who can come and help them on the day.
yeah.
They will feel slightly out on a limb about with things like that. But who does help you on the day? Who's your team?
I mean, primarily, Theon is there to well, probably keep me calm more than anything else. But of whoever wants to lend a hand, it's generally there for me, even though it's not really necessary anymore, because my parents have been there. They come every year. Best mate Roy is kind of a mechanic, if you want to call him that. He
Yeah.
used to own a bike shop, so he's always a good pair of hands. Like this poor Sunlight lot, Craig and Henshaw are always out and about. But over the years, I've had so many people. Obviously Wheelbase are there, but they tend to look after Lewis because he doesn't have the same support that I do.
Oh boy.
But yeah, the great thing about the race, and I've always said it, it's like people want to come and watch it. People are fascinated by it, even if they're not competing in it. They're happy to come and watch it because also there's no other cyclocross races on that week. They stick with that, which I think is perfect. But people are happy. They love to see it. They love to
Mm,
watch it. They love
mm,
to lie and, top of Pen again and just see people suffering through
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, it's. I mean, you don't have to tell me. We know it's a. And probably everyone watching this by this stage will be fairly committed and know it's a special event. There's definitely and that goes for helpers too. You know, we're all lucky, but people generally queue up to help. I
Yeah,
find, and similarly, I'm way down the field, but I still, people are still really fascinated to come up and help me and things, and I feel really lucky about things like that. We talked about, potential mechanicals. Have you had any offs? Have you been off the bike in it? You've not told anyone.
have
Those
I been
slabs on
off?
Whernside. Come on.
Have I been off? I'm trying to think now. So I've definitely hurt myself, but I'm trying to think if I've actually come off the bike. So my thing is I always, without fail, trip trip on the stones at the top of Simon Fell.
Yeah.
Without fail, I will just clip one. And the amount of times I finish with a bloody knee because I've fallen over there. Um, I don't think I've crashed on the bike. I've had a moment, a real bad moment of I'm going to die on Penny Ghent once. But I've never actually, I don't think, ever crashed
Mm.
from memory.
No, it's surprising, isn't it? You do look after yourself, and I think, considering how dangerous the race are, there are very few people have crashes. I mean, the number of people you see kind of having little offs on Whernside and coming off the edge of the slabs simply because you start getting tired from braking, don't
Yeah,
you? It sometimes becomes an easy option to just steer and
just lie it down.
yeah, but no, that's good to know. And I, I know that Rob, in his winning rides has had a few crashes and things, and I think it's you do push it, don't you? And if you're under pressure,
Absolutely.
it's incredibly technical, particularly Whernside. It's a hideous event. It's
Yeah, and I think it's getting worse,
mm,
if I'm honest, because they're doing more and more work on it. So they're trying to make it more
yeah,
sanitized for walkers, but of course, coming down
mm,
on a bike, it makes it worse if they're making steps for people,
yeah,
and you'd prefer a little bit of soft grass. But it seems to change. I mean, maybe it's in my mind, but it seems to change every year to me.
I think Penny certainly caught us all out the last couple of years with the extra steps at the top, and I think there's more work being done above the finger post now, supposedly.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that's going to be a harder descent, I think.
Mm,
But uh, yeah, only for maybe 100 yards or so. But it's a
okay.
tricky. It's a nice time to get back on your bike on Penny and just enjoy
Yes.
that start of that descent, and it's just going to disturb that moment, I think, really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good. Couple of other things then. So if you had a bad ride this year and had a bad ride, maybe came back next year, would you see yourself still doing it because it's the Three Peaks, or as a former winner with so much, fantastic Palmares in the race? Would you just kind of move on? What's your feelings on that?
I don't know, if I'm honest. I do. I think until something else takes hold of me, I think I will be back. It's obviously it's difficult because if if you do underperform or there are three or four people at the top that are better than you, it makes it more difficult to kind of motivate yourself to be looking to to dedicating everything to it. So I think if I'm honest, if I'm honest, and maybe I've said this before, maybe I've not, but I feel like this is the last year that I will be win, lose or draw. It will be the last year that I will that I put other things aside for the
Mm,
peaks. I think
mm,
um, because I think I can be happy. Um, there's nothing to chase. There's
mhm,
no record to chase. That's that's out of sight for I don't think any and nobody is going to touch Jebby's wins. So there's no record, there's no incentive, if you want to call it that, to kind of keep trying to go. And as I say, there's so many fresh people coming to the race now that somebody will want it more. Somebody will be better prepared. Somebody will be stronger.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so you can't keep pinning everything on this race. And as I said, one was enough,
yeah,
and everything after that is a bonus.
yeah, yeah.
I obviously want it again, and I've done a lot to make sure I'm in very good nick for it, and I hope to deliver on that. But if I don't and I never win it again, then that's okay too.
On it. Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I was just more intrigued about, I'm 55. I've been doing it. I think it's my 25th, or it will be my 25th finish this year, touch wood. And I can never, I definitely don't put anything aside for it as much as I did,
Mm.
other than maybe a little bit of extra bike fettling, and I carry my bike up Scoutmore a couple of times, just try not to get too distracted by it. But I can't really see a time of not doing it.
Yeah,
It's so sort of ingrained in me. But I think that's the race. There are Robin Bradbury's on 30, late 30s, I think, or
yeah,
30s of doing them. He's
uh-huh.
been doing it since he was 17 or something. And Paul Milsom's on his 30th. And there are a lot of people who just
Yeah.
turn and keep doing
I
it.
I do wish I'd done it when I was younger though. Like
Yeah,
I waited so long to do it, and you do feel like, I wish I'd just given that a go earlier. Um, but I think to be honest, I think I will be back.
yeah,
I think when Fion decides to do it, if she decides to do it, I'll probably either have to pay her back and not race, or
door's
make
still
sure
open. The door's still open. Just if you're talking about that.
um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
like
think
something like that, injury or just a life event, there's bigger things than cycling. So something may mean you have to put it aside, but it's just a great race, and I think forever I will, whether I do it continuously, whether I have a year off, I will be back, one way or another, when I do miss a year, for sure, because it's too cool a race not to.
it is. And if you ever don't do it, then you can hold a pair of wheels and a bottle for me at the bottom.
Happily, absolutely happily. I don't really go for watching bike races, but the Peaks is one that I've watched on numerous occasions, so more than happy.
Brilliant. Charles Drake, thank you very much indeed.
No worries, mate.
Absolutely wish you the very best of luck this year, and I'll look forward
And
to seeing how you're getting on. Thanks for your
to
time.
you too, mate.
Cheers.
No problem at all.
Well, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that. I love talking to anyone about that piece, and it's got under my skin, and it's nice to meet someone who is similarly clearly quite smitten by this race. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to try and do a few more interviews, and if you don't mind, really good if you could subscribe to the channel, and then you can see more of this, and it will magically appear each time we do something new. Thanks for watching.